Good evening and welcome to ICU TV Main News. We take a look at the stories making headlines. Councils urged to explore loan recovery options first. Rising copper prices propel Zambian Kwacha to strong global performance in 2025. Government promises full payment to maize farmers by January 10th. In international news, Indonesia exports to Egypt reach record $1.59 billion. And in sports news, North and West Africans dominate CAF Afcon 2025 group stage best 11. With the news details, my name is Amina Mutambo. The government has urged local authorities to avoid taking Constituency Development Fund loan defaulters to court before all possible recovery measures have been considered. Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development Permanent Secretary for Technical Services, Nicholas Piri, said there are several mechanisms within government systems that can be used to recover the loans. He emphasized that councils should fully explore these options before resorting to legal action. In an interview with ZNBC News, Mr. Perry called on CDF loan beneficiaries to repay the funds promptly, noting that doing so would allow other citizens to access the facility. He revealed that about 2 billion kwacha has been disbursed under the loan component of the CDF since 2022. Mr. Piri added that only about 10% of the disbursed funds have been recovered so far. He further noted that discussions are ongoing whether additional resources will be allocated to the loan component this year. The Zambian Kwacha closes 2025 among the world's strongest performing currencies, supported by a sharp rise in global copper prices. The development highlights the close link between Zambia's mining sector and the performance of its national currency. Copper prices increased by more than one-third during 2025, moving closer to record levels of about 13,000 US per ton on the London Metal Exchange. The price growth occurs at a time when global supplies remain constrained while demand for the metal continues to rise. The strong demand is driven by global trends such as electrification, renewable energy systems, electric vehicles, and artificial intelligence-based infrastructure. At the same time, the government under President Hakainde Hichilema prioritizes mining reforms and new investment to improve production, strengthen export earnings, increase foreign exchange inflows, and exchange the resilience of the kwacha.
The kwacha has closed 2025 among the world's strongest performing currencies, and the reasons are clear in the data. At the center of this performance is copper, of course. Throughout 2025, copper prices rose by more than a third, pushing toward record levels to near 13,000 United States dollars per ton on the London Metal Exchange. This surge was driven by tight global supply and rising demand from electrification, renewable energy systems, and AI-related infrastructure. For Zambia, Africa's second largest copper producer, the impact was immediate. Copper accounts over 70% of Zambia's export earnings. As prices climbed, export receipts increased, foreign exchange inflows strengthened, and pressure on the kwacha eased. The result was a currency that moved in step with the commodity that underpins the economy. By late December 2025, the kwacha had appreciated by approximately 24% against the United States dollars. On December 29, it strengthened by 0.6% in a single session, reaching its strongest level since early November. As of this particular report on December 31st, 2025, which was simply yesterday with forex markets closed for the New Year holiday, the kwacha was trading at approximately 22 kwacha 55 ngwe and 22 kwacha 60 ngwe per dollar. okay, reflecting mid-market levels stabilized around 22 Kwacha, 58 Ingwe from the final trading sessions. We are here because President Hakainde Hichilema made economic growth non-negotiable, stabilized the fundamentals, restored confidence, and kept the focus on productive sectors that turned policy into measurable progress. This particular performance was not isolated. Other African commodity producers experienced similar currency movements, confirming a broader trend where metal-linked economies benefited from higher global prices. However, Zambia stood out because copper dominates its export structure more heavily than gold or diversified metals to do in or peer economies. Policy decisions reinforced these market dynamics. On December 26, 2025, Bank of Zambia implemented the currency directives 2025 required or requiring domestic transactions to be settled in Kwacha and Ingwe, with defined exemptions such as mining companies continuing to pay certain obligations, of course, in United States dollars. Now, this directive increased demand for the local currency, reduced domestic dollarization, and strengthened monetary control, supporting stability rather than undermining it. Crucially, the Kwacha's performance also reflects confidence in Zambian mining trajectory. The government of the Republic of Zambia policy has set a clear long-term objective to increase copper production toward 3 million tons per year by 2031 to 2032, backed by mine revivals, new investments, of course, and project development. Within the data provided, expectations for 2025 production ranged between 950,000 tons and potentially above 1 million tons, despite energy constraints earlier in the year. Looking ahead, the Mingomba mine, scheduled to break down in April 2026, signals why markets are pricing Zambia differently. The scale and quality of Zambia's copper deposit are reshaping expectations about future export capacity, of course, foreign exchange inflows, and long-term balance of payments strength. This forward-looking assessment is already influencing currency behavior, okay? In simple terms, copper strengthened, export earnings rose, dollar inflows increased, and confidence retained. Monetary policy then reinforced those fundamentals by anchoring domestic transactions in the Kwacha. Now, that is how the currency closed 2025 stronger. The data shows a direct line between commodity performance, production, outlook, policy discipline, and exchange rate stability. As copper demand continues to rise globally and Zambia positions itself for higher output, the forces that supported the Kwacha in 2025 remain structurally in place going into 2026.
The Zambian government has reiterated that all farmers who supplied maize to the Food Reserve Agency will be fully paid, with the Ministry of Finance assuring that outstanding payments will be cleared by 10th January 2026. The announcement comes as part of ongoing efforts to support farmers and strengthen confidence in the country's agricultural policies. In Mukushi, farmers have already begun planting for the current season, aligning with increased national production targets. The government's commitment recognizes the contributions of farmers who delivered a strong harvest, helped fuel national food reserves, and positioned Zambia for both domestic food and regional trade.
We are here in Mukushi as government has confirmed that all farmers who supplied maize to the Food Reserve Agency will be fully paid, with the Ministry of Finance assuring that outstanding payments will be cleared by January 10, 2026. Now, that confirmation matters because this season's success was built by farmers who delivered, filled storage facilities to capacity, and left the country with enough grain not only for food security, but for regional trade. Zambia's food basket has spoken through the numbers. After a year of drought, the 2024-2025 farming season delivered a historic rebound. The country recorded 3.66 million metric tons of maize, pushing total supply to over 4 million metric tons when opening stocks are included. Storage facilities across the country are full, and right here in Mukushi, Silos and depots are holding grain set aside for strategic reserves. A Central Province led the way, contributing more than 680,000 metric tons, with Mukushi, where we are now, standing out as one of the strongest performers.
What is seated within the district, collected from other sources, is 35,509 metric tons. That is what we are sitting on as Mukushi. Now, I think this is important to mention that we, here in Mukushi, the 20,000 metric tons has already been collected from all central depots and are being kept safe at this main depot. This is possible due to collaboration between central government and the local authority here in Mukushi to grade all the feeder roads leading to satellite depots. And we were able to bring in the crop by 30th October this year. We collected all the grain and we are at zero in the satellite depots.
Fields that struggled are now green again, showing what happens when rainfall returns. Inputs are available and farmers stay the course. Okay, when you see storage sheds full and fields already planted again, that is what President Hakainde Hichilema, not just talking about agriculture as business, but delivering on it.
I'm a retired medical officer. His life is actually in the soil. So I would encourage every Zambian at least to have, however small the piece of land is, put it to good use so that at least you have food on the table. We are not supposed to be buying food. We are supposed to grow food and contribute to the national basket.
Absolutely.
So that we are able to feed those that are not able to. Oh, this year it has been excellent. God has been so gracious to us. The rains have been very, very good. Yes.
Government remains focused on farmers who grow food, not only for Zambia, but for the region and global markets. That is action reaching every scale of production, from smallholders to large commercial farms. This harvest translated directly into jobs. Jobs in harvesting, transport and storage. Jobs for suppliers of bags, fuel and logistics. Skills and labor across the value chain were fully engaged to bring in and secure this particular crop. With payment assured, attention now shifts to the next cycle. Clearing farmers, dues injects liquidity back into rural economies in time for bad preparation, input purchases and early planting. Lessons from the drought have shaped a strong approach with increased emphasis on irrigation, winter maize and climate-smart farming. Alongside private investment, Zambia's state enterprise Nitrogen Chemicals of Zambia remains central to this shift. The country's annual fertilizer import bill had
Zambia has started accepting China's yuan for mining taxes, becoming the first African nation to do so. This reflects China's increasing financial influence in Africa's strategic resource sectors. The Bank of Zambia is aligning its reserve management with the significant role of China as a major copper trade and debt partner. The acceptance of yuan enables Zambia to service its Chinese debts cost-effectively. Mukushi constituency is seeing noticeable development due to increased funding from the Constituency Development Fund. New projects including Fiwanga and Mambilima health posts, staff houses, maternity facilities, and the CDF-supported Chitina Palace are improving access to services, creating jobs, and supporting local suppliers. This growth reflects the government's focus on grassroots development and plans for higher CDF allocations in 2026.
Constituency Development Fund was not increased to decorate budgets or impress on paper. It was raised to reach places like Mukushi right here, where development only matters if it touches people where they live, work, and raise families, of course. Here, CDF shows up as an activity on the ground. At Fiwanga, a new health post with a staff house and water reticulation has been built at a cost of about 1.2 million kwacha. Ceiling boards were installed, floors were tiled, equipment was supplied for health personnel, builders were engaged, suppliers delivered materials. When the doors opened, more than 3,000 people gained closer access to care. That is time saved, transport costs avoided, and lives protected. Now, President Hakainde Hichilema's most consistent and key statement about the Constituency Development Fund is that it is the primary tool for decentralization and community empowerment, intended to bring development and decision-making power directly to the grassroots level, ensuring no part of Zambia is left behind. The same pattern plays out at Mambirima, another health post and staff house, again funded under CDF at a cost of about 1.2 million kwacha. Local skills were heard. Local businesses supplied materials. The facility now stands ready to save over 2,500 people who previously had to travel long distances for basic services. Okay.
Ishina lyandi ninemuitwa Evenes Musumari. Limwekashi wa Mumambirima. Muno Mumambirima twali kwete pension likulu sana. Ili achipatera. Twachita kwa apply kajia asuka. Twachita kwa apply mpaka uno mwaka wa 2025 uteko bwatu asuka bwatupera kone chipatera. Kwe na tuleto tera pakulu sana kwe bati ichipatera chesu kuchishatu wafurisha abana ba na chifyashi n'abakulu abalefi bokwenda okukwanisha okuya kwa kitina na kunkumbi na transport kuno kumyesa kwaba abakulu tete bekale pawondo okuya kuchipatera kwa kitina.
CDF has also supported cultural administrative infrastructure, the construction of Chitina Palace, funded through a mix of CDF and central government resources at about 3.9 million kwacha, brought together artisans, laborers and suppliers. The project delivered a palace, 2 retainers, houses, a conference room, tiling and water reticulation inclusive. It is infrastructure.
We take our first break. Stay tuned for more news.
The Information and Communications University is driving the thrill for the nation in research and development. Enroll now for full-time and distance programs in the School of Engineering, Humanities, Business and Education. To apply, visit our website at www.icuzambia.net or call us on +260 211 221 662 or 0966 342 359. Sponsorship is available. Enroll now.
Welcome back. In our local stories, the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit, with support from the Zambia Air Force, has successfully evacuated 54 flood victims who were stranded by rising water levels of the Lundazi River in Maize District, Eastern Province. The victims had been cut off for 5 days in the Kamwala area after crossing the river for agricultural activities, but were unable to return home due to flooding. The rescue operation was conducted using a Zambia Air Force aircraft, which made 4 trips to safely transport the affected residents and their belongings to Chiweza area in Kazembe ward. The floods have caused significant damage in the district, leaving at least 127 households homeless after heavy rains led to the collapse of several houses. The displaced families are currently sheltering at Kazembe Primary School, where the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit, working with cooperating partners, has provided food and non-food relief items. Other affected families from villages such as Chimalilo, Saili, and Bodola have been accommodated in temporary shelters within their communities. The Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit has commenced the distribution of relief supplies, including foodstuffs and essential household items, to families affected by the floods. In addition, a Lundazi-based businessman, identified only as Alibu, has donated 100 by 25 kilogram bags of mealie meal to support flood victims in the Maize district. The assistance is expected to help ease food challenges among the displaced households. Preliminary assessments indicate that the flooding originated upstream in Lundazi district, where key infrastructure has reportedly been damaged. Downstream areas have experienced the destruction of houses, loss of crop fields, and severe siltation that has buried farmlands under sand. The Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit has stated that it continues to closely monitor the situation and is working with line ministries, the Zambia Air Force, and cooperating partners to ensure the safety and welfare of affected communities. The Electoral Commission of Zambia has intensified voter education campaigns in Lusaka district ahead of the Chawama parliamentarian by-elections. District Voter Education Coordinator Namakau J. Pumulo urged voter education facilitators to step up sensitization efforts to ensure all eligible citizens in Chawama are well informed about the electoral process. Ms. Pumulo also called on residents to turn out and vote while warning youths against being used in violent activities during the election period. To reach a wider audience, the ECZ has introduced drama performance and roadshows across the constituency, bringing voter education directly to communities and encouraging active participation in the by-elections. We take a break. Stay tuned. Coming up is international and sports news.
Welcome to the Zambia Research and Development Center, an institution dedicated to national development through capacity building and community development. Established in 2007 by a group of professionals and lecturers, ZRDC has since become a hub of research and innovation in the country. Registered with the Ministry of Home Affairs under the Registrar of Societies, ZRDC pursues cutting-edge research to address pressing social and economic challenges. Get involved. ZRDC engages in activities that stimulate international collaboration, promote knowledge sharing, and make research expertise available to decision makers. Our mission at ZRDC is to foster innovation and capacity building for national development. We believe in addressing poverty and underdevelopment through institutional and capacity building, human empowerment, and gender participation. In our quest to foster innovation and capacity building for national development, ZRDC launched the ZRDC University Sponsorship for Capacity Building and Development Program to facilitate knowledge advancement among ZRDC researchers and those intending to join the research community. Qualified Zambian citizens can pursue education at credible universities in Zambia with guaranteed prospects of joining the ZRDC research community. ZRDC engages in industrial and technological research, covering research development and innovative investigations to drive dynamic industrial development at national and regional levels. Join us at the Zambia Research and Development Center as we continue to innovate, empower, and shape a brighter future for Zambia. ZRDC, fostering innovation and capacity building for national development.
Thank you for staying with us. In international news, Indonesia's export to Egypt hit a record $1.5 billion in the first 10 months of 2025. The milestone makes Egypt Indonesia's largest export market in Africa and third in the Middle East. Overall bilateral trade grew by over 37% year-on-year, with Indonesia maintaining $1.23 billion surplus. Both countries are expanding the range of traded goods from palm oil and coffee to fertilizer and debts. Still in international news, China's BYD set to overtake Tesla's as world's top EV seller. China's BYD, biggest seller of electronic vehicles, marking the first time it has outpaced its American rival for annual sales. On Thursday, BYD said that sales of its battery-powered cars rose last year by almost 28% to more than 2.25 million. Tesla, which is due to reveal its total sales for 2025 later on Friday last week, published analysis estimates suggesting that it has sold around 1.65 million vehicles for the year as a whole. We take a short break. Coming up is sports news.
The Information and Communications University is striving the thrill for the nation in research and development. Enroll now for full-time and distance programs in the School of Engineering, Humanities, Business and Education. To apply, visit our website at www.icuzambia.net or call us on +260 211 221 662 or 0966 342 359. Sponsorship is available. Enroll now.
Welcome back. And now in sports news, the Confederation of African Football has unveiled the group stage best 11 for the ongoing 2025 Africa Cup of Nations, with North taking the spotlight. Both regions contributed 5 players each following standout performances in the tournament's group stage. North Africa's contingent includes Riyad Mahrez of Algeria, Morocco's Nelson Mazzouri, and Brahim Diaz, Tunisia's Ali Abdi, and Egypt's goalkeeper Mohamed El Shenwai. West Africa is presented by Senegal's Sadio Mane, Ivory Coast's Amad Diallo, Nigeria's Ademola Lookman, Cameroon's Carlos Baleba, and Burkina Faso's Edmond Tassoba. Central Africa has just one representative, DR Congo's Axel Tuanzebe, while Southern Africa had no players selected, leaving nations such as Zambia, South Africa, and Angola without representation. Notably, several high-profile stars, including Egypt's Mohamed Salah, Nigeria's Victor Osimhen, and Cameroon's Brian Mbeumo, were left out of the best 11. The selection underscores the dominance of North and West African talent in the early stages of the tournament, while Southern and Central African players face uphill battle to earn recognition in the later rounds. That sports item brings us to the end of our main news, but before we go, a quick recap of the stories making headlines. Councils urged to explore loan recovery options first. Rising copper prices propel Zambian Kwacha to strong global performance in 2025. Government promises full payment to maize farmers by January 10th. In international news, Indonesia exports to Egypt reach record $1.5 billion. And in sports news, North and West Africans dominate CAF Afcon 2025 group stage best 11. Thank you so much for watching ICU TV Main News. For more news updates, do watch our main news tomorrow at 20 hours on ICU TV and ICU TV News, not forgetting our website at ICU TV ZM. Have a good night.